Welcome to this week's edition of the Seekonk Speedway Race Day Rewind, produced by Souza Media, where we recap all the weekend's racing as part of the 75th anniversary season of the Action Track of the East. The Seekonk Speedway podcast series is a production of Seekonk Speedway and Souza Media. For more information on Souza Media, visit kylesouza.com. And for more information on Seekonk Speedway, visit seekonkspeedway.com. Oh, that music again is back. We have missed that over the winter months. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the Seekonk Speedway podcast series as we prepare for the 2021 season post-pandemic. In a way, we're still in the middle of the pandemic, but it's post in the sense that we are going to get some racing in with some fans in the grandstands at Seekonk Speedway in 2021. So happy to say those words and so happy to be back with you here behind the microphone for the 75 years podcast history at Seekonk Speedway. My name is Kyle Souza, the owner and operator of Souza Media. I am going to be joined by a couple of different guests in our first podcast of the new year here as we prepare for the season. We have got a special edition here this evening. We are going to be joined by Roy Andrade of Everett's Auto Parts, located up in Brockton, Mass. Great place to grab all of the latest car parts. Basically, they've got everything, and I mean everything. Tires, lights, parts, anything you need for any car, basically. Older, a little bit of newer cars, stuff in there as well. A great place up in Brockton, Mass. And really had a great time up there with Roy, talking with him. We're going to learn a little bit more about Everett's Auto Parts as they get ready to sponsor the track again in 2021 as the sponsor of the Everett's Auto Parts late models, the Diamond Dash Series races, the Fan Appreciation Night, and a bunch of other things, including Everett's Auto Parts Victory Lane. Really want to thank Roy, Everett's Auto Parts, and their team, and all of our track sponsors for coming on board again post-pandemic in the 2021 season. Now, Roy speaking with us about a wide variety of topics, all the way from his history in racing, behind the wheel of a certain amount of cars, we'll let him talk about that, to how Everett's Auto Parts got started, how it runs today, and then his current race team that's got a bunch of different cars driving for the 2021 season, all the way from the Pro Stocks down into our Bandolero division at the Action Track of the East. So without further ado, we're going to cut in. We're going to speak with Roy a little bit, learn a little bit about his history in racing. Then we're going to take a quick break from Roy. We're going to talk to Dylan Estrella, one of his Pro Stock competitors and multiple-time late model champion and Pro Stock winner. And we're also going to talk to Bobby Tripp. Bobby's been around with Roy for many years, over the last couple specifically in the late models, but previous to that, Bobby competed for Roy as well in the early 2000s or so, roughly. So we're going to get a little bit of perspective from both of them as well, and then we'll wrap up with Roy here on the 75 Years podcast series. Again, I'm Kyle Souza. Thanks for joining us for the first episode of the 2021 season. Let's dive right into it with Roy Andrade of Everett's Auto Parts right around the turn. And our first interview of the new season, getting ready to open on Sunday, May the 2nd, is Roy Andrade of Everett's Auto Parts. We're sitting here with him at Everett's Auto Parts up in Brockton. Ed St. Germain is here with me as well. I am Kyle Souza, the owner of Souza Media, and we're going to take a look back into some of the history of Seekonk Speedway as we've done in this podcast series. And we're bringing Roy in to give us a little bit of his perspective on what he's seen over the years of the track and the variety of different cars he sponsors with Everett's Auto Parts. Roy, thanks for joining us. Before we get to the racing, let's talk a little bit about the business. For those who don't know about Everett's Auto Parts, what do you do here at this facility that is large, and there's a lot of equipment in a pretty large space?
My father started Everett's Auto Parts in 1951. And I took over in 1971. I've been running Everett since 1971. So Everett's Auto Parts, we process over 40,000 cars a year. We have over 100 employees. We have a U picket, and we have we picket. So if you want to come in and save 50% of the price of the part, then you can pick it yourself, or you can have us take care of it, and cost you a little bit more money, but you'll be in and out of here with clean hands. It's a great facility, and I try to run my company like I run my race car team. I like to make sure that there's quality in the company and also in my team. And that goes along with also the drivers of the cars that I let them drive.
Yeah, Roy's going to sponsor 7 different cars so far in the 2021 season. Seems like that might be the limit right now. He's comfortable with that. He's got 2 pro stocks, a couple late models, a sportsman, a truck, and also in part of the youth racing at the track with the Bandolero division. So you got a wide variety of different people, a wide variety of different cars, and I'm sure you're really looking forward to getting the season kicked off here in a couple weeks.
I am. Everybody's itching. Everybody is ready to race. We had a delay due to, COVID, but hopefully Ed got us back on course, and we'll be racing May 2nd.
Yeah, getting ready for opening day here within a couple weeks. If you're listening to this before May 2nd, if you're after May 2nd, then you're listening to it a little bit in the past. Now, Roy, before we talk a little bit more about this year, let's go back in the years, and we're taking it back to your first memory at Seekonk Speedway. What's kind of one thing that jumps out in your mind as the early years when you think back?
When I was a young boy, I used to go to Norwood Arena, and that's where I was exposed to round track racing. After Norwood was not around anymore, a few years after that, I started going to Seekonk, which I liked, and I didn't have any cars racing at the time. I didn't even really know what was involved to put a car on the track. So as I went there and was more interested, and I thought it was a good night out, I started looking into getting a car or racing a car that would have Everett's Auto Parts name on it, that I could sponsor. I didn't really solely sponsor the first car I had. I was a 50% owner in a car, and the driver, that still drives for me today, off and on, but certainly full-time today, was Bobby Tripp. I like Bobby, and we've had a good relationship throughout the years. Not that he raced for me every year, but on and off throughout the years, and I'm very, very happy with Bobby Tripp.
Yeah, Bobby's going to be driving for him in the late models again this year, as he has the last couple of years. So we talked about kind of your first sponsor, but are there other memories of the track that kind of jump out to you in the early years when you first got there? I mean, thinking of the place and watching it evolve here over the last now 75 years of existence, is there anything else that pops out from those early years that you think is important?
Like I said, I used to go to Norwood Arena, and after Norwood Arena, I didn't go for a while. And Seekonk, a few years later, I was working and building my business, and didn't have time to be dealing with race cars. Seekonk called me up one day, and I'll never forget it. I'm working and didn't really have much money at the time, and they said to me, would I be interested in sponsoring a car? And I remember asking them, is your track a dirt track or a tar track? Well, I thought that the person on the other side, after they were really upset with my comment, I thought that he was going to hang up on me. He did tell me it was a tar track, and me being in the business, I probably should already know that. And that actually really happened.
Wow.
So then I did go to the track after that. I really felt bad that I made that comment.
Okay, there you go. So step one, all the way to where we are now with 7 different race teams. Obviously, you mentioned you run the race teams just like you run the business. You've grown into a really stable race team that picks up a lot of wins, winning often. But you've also got some driving experience in your past at pretty high speeds. Some drag cars, some F1, 200 miles an hour we talked about just a few moments ago. So how the heck did you get into that? Why get behind the wheel? And when you look back now, do you think you were crazy to go that fast on the track?
No. I've always been involved in racing, but basically quarter-mile racing. And on my 40th birthday, I had a friend of mine said to me, Roy, I got a great idea. Why don't we go to Frank Hawley's driving school? We can go down and drive a blown alcohol dragster. And I said to him, Ronnie, that's probably not a bad idea. The last thing I want is to go to a party with 50 of my friends, and they can tell me that I'm bald, I'm old, and I'm ugly, and it's all over in my life. So when he brought up this drag school, I said, you know something? That's what I want to do for my 40th birthday, because that's a memory, a positive thing, rather than going to all my friends and have them rip me apart for 4 hours.
Sounds about right.
So I went to Frank Hawley's drag school, gained a license to drive blown alcohol dragsters, and also a year later, I got a license to drive blown alcohol funny cars at 200 miles an hour, 6-second time slots. So I drove those for over 10 years. It was on more of a pleasure thing. I would go to Frank Hawley's school and I would rent his car, and that's what I would do. I would fly all over the country and drive at different racetracks.
Wow, so you've got some experience behind the wheel.
Yes.
And that, correct me if I'm wrong, but that kind of pushed you even more to start sponsoring more over the years because you enjoyed it so much and wanted to be involved?
I did. I wanted to be involved. I had a driver or two, Mark Henshaw. I wanted to sponsor him, and I did for a while. And then as I got involved in the track, I met Ed, and that really put me on the page, because he is the one that really got me involved in the Speedway more than anybody.
Catching up with Bobby Tripp, one of Roy's drivers at Seekonk in 2021. Bobby's going to be driving in the late model division. We'll get back to Roy here in a bit. And Bobby, thanks for joining us. Now, you've been driving for Roy the last couple of years in the late models. Also spent some time with him, as we heard him say previously, many years ago. So you're an Everett's Auto Parts kind of guy. You and Roy seem to get along well. What can you say about Roy? How has he kind of helped your career, especially lately, kind of give you everything you need to compete at a high level?
Well, lately he's given me just about anything I've asked for. He's really helped me out in that regard. You know, these things are far more expensive than I dealt with back in 2000 when he helped me back then. You know, that was my own car and coming out of my own pocket. But here we are. You know, it's nice to go on the other side of it and just have someone help you with anything you need to go racing. You know, we gotta show that too, that we did well with what he spent on us. So that's what we're thriving for.
I think it's really important, right? I mean, so you want to compete at him for a high level. And how important is that to you? I mean, you want to go out there and win, right? Especially with everything he's helping you out with and how good of friends the two of you are. Is that kind of the only option for you, is winning?
Winning championship, yeah, I take either or. I mean, it's nice to take them both, but, you know, it's a highly competitive field. And these younger kids are really showing me how it's done lately. I thought I had an advantage with my age and stuff and experience, but the younger kids really have showed me what it's like to be competitive.
Yeah, I mean, so you've run the last couple of years, been strong. I mean, what do you think for 2021? What do you look at as one of the two Everett's Auto Parts late models in the field? You got 3 pro stocks out there this year, Everett's Auto Parts, a truck. There's a Bando in there, a Sportsman in there. Roy's kind of jumped on every different division here as much as he can. But what does Bobby Tripp expect from 2021? Are you looking for wins? Is the championship kind of a major goal, or are you just kind of taking this week by week?
We're going to try and go week by week and enjoy ourselves. We do want to do well. I mean, my crew members and stuff and I work hard at this, and we want to show it. You know, we want to show his you know, what he's put into with us. You know, as far as dollars, we just want to show that we can run up front too.
Well, Bobby's going to be competing in, as he mentions, a very busy late model field as part of the 2021 season. Bob, thanks for joining us on the podcast. Appreciate it, and we wish you the best of luck this year in 2021.
Hey, I thank you very much. Glad to be aboard.
All right, thanks to Bobby Tripp for joining us as part of the Everett's Auto Parts podcast. Let's transfer back and hear more from Roy Andrade in our visit to Everett's Auto Parts. But is there one thing that kind of sticks out? Why do you enjoy so much with all the different cars you sponsor? all the different races that we have over the year. Why the racetrack? Why is that kind of home for you? Because other than here and at home, it feels like that is your second home.
Right. Well, I chose to partner up with the Seekonk Speedway. Again, I want to say because of Ed. Ed's the one that really brought me into this. And I wanted everybody to relate my race team, my race drivers, the way I run the whole operation to the way I run my company, which is I try to do the right thing, and I want to let them know that my company is professional. We try to do the right thing for the customer. Is when I'm at the Speedway, I like to do as much as I want to win, and that's really not my main motivation here. My motivation is to be competitive, to be clean, have my drivers be respectful, and it's a lot of fun if everybody does their part. And I want to give back to the audience. The audience, the people that go there, a lot of them are my customers, and the ones that are not, I want them to be. But even if they're not, I just want my name, Everetts, to be, which was my father's name. That's how Everett's Auto Parts come about. My father started this company, and his name was Everett. I just want the customers to know that I run my company the same way as I run my race team, which is professional, respectful, and if they ever really do need a part, that they would come to me. And if they don't, just say that, you know, he seems like a nice guy, or the company seems like it's fine, just the way he runs his race team.
Yeah, and
on behalf of the Speedway and all the fans, we would want to thank you for all the years that you've given us of extra distance races, car sponsorship, putting some of our top competitors on the field every week, fan appreciation nights for the last several years, all these things that go a long way to help and promote the sport of short track racing at Seekonk. So thank you, Roy.
Everett's Auto Parts are a major part of the Speedway. I mentioned Everett's Auto Parts Victory Lane, the Diamond Dash races, the extra distance races in general that we've done over the years. Ed mentions the fan appreciation. There's so many different things that you guys are involved with at the Speedway. But let's talk about a couple of the drivers that you've got behind the wheel for you again in 2021. You mentioned Bobby Tripp. That's got to be cool, right? To deal with him so many years ago and over the years and still have him running at a really high level for you. You guys seem like you're really close and you know, you're happy to provide him with a car, and he goes out there and competes well for you.
I don't believe that I have a driver I do not have a connection with in the sense of being professional and doing the right thing. Because if I believe that you're not out there trying to do the right thing, and we know how racing is and how everybody does something, not something right all the time, but the object was to go out and be professional at as much as you can in that situation. The drivers, I try to get drivers that are respectful, that are talented, and that would show the ability to be what my company is, and that is to the best of their ability and do the right thing when they're out there. Not just to win. I never put pressure on any of my drivers to win. All I ever ask them to be is prepared, be ready, and be competitive. That's it. Other than that, if we win, that's great. If they come in the points, that's great. I care about their performance and how they perform on that track to give back to the people in the stands, because that's really got a lot to do with what I do there. Is I really don't, you don't have to come to Everett's Auto Parts to buy a part. I would really like you to know that the way I run my race car is the same way I run my company.
Yeah, I mean, so you go to the track with all these different cars, and goes from our youth racing down in the Bandolero division, which is the up-and-comers, and then you've got a guy like Freddie Estelle, Bobby Tripp, some in the middle, like Dylan Estrella. That seems important to you, too, to have the different rungs and give somebody a chance that's rising, but also somebody, you know, like Fred or Bobby that's got the talent, versus a Joey LeMay running in our Bandoleros that's trying to get up there and get to that level.
Yes. So I have Freddie Estelle, which has been around longer than the track. I think he was there before the track
Just
opened,
about.
but I'm not sure. I know his father was. But anyway, with all that talent, Bobby Tripp's another one right behind him. And then the younger drivers I have, I understand that when I took them on, that there could be an accident here or there, and it would cost me a little bit more money. But in order to keep the sport alive, you have to commit. And sometimes it's not all about you. When you put the sport before you, sometimes it just gives it longevity and to keep the sport running. Because if you don't invest in the younger drivers, there's not going to be any sports tomorrow.
Yeah.
It's just not going to be there. The raceway will not exist. So I try my best to pick up younger, talented guys in order to carry on the sport of racing, and I'm all for that. I've been dealing with speed my entire life.
All right, welcome back from the break. We just spoke with Bobby Tripp a few moments ago, had a little bit more of Roy, and now we're back to another one of his competitors. Our final interview is part of the Everetts Auto Parts series here on the podcast. This driver is Dylan Estrella, runs in the Pro Stock division, multiple-time late model champion under the Everetts Auto Parts banner, and now has jumped into the Pro Stock division, won his debut race back in 2019. Feels like forever ago, but he did win his debut race driving for Everett's Auto Parts. And Dylan Estrella is with us. Dylan, can you kind of walk me through what it's been like to deal with Roy and his team at Everett's Auto Parts? We went up and saw the facility, amazing facility with everything they've got going there. And with what we've heard from Roy so far here in the podcast and what we're going to hear here in a few minutes, he is really, really, really excited for 2021. And I know you've said before that you owe kind of some of your career here down the line to him for being able to jump on board and help you out.
Yeah, absolutely. It definitely wouldn't be doing this without Roy. And he was someone, to be honest with you, that I really didn't know about back when I was running with the North Attleboro guys and for Bill Bernard. And Bob introduced me to Roy and kind of put the bug in his ear, and kind of everything else is history. But yeah, I definitely wouldn't be here without him. And everything that he does, let alone his business, but for the race teams and stuff like that, letting us do what we love to do is pretty awesome. And he's always super energetic when he's around us. At first I was a little intimidated because he always joked about how he always wants wins and stuff, but in the end, he just wants to see his cars finish in one piece and just kind of be part of the show.
Yeah, so Roy, we went up, like I said, went up and see Roy, and we're listening, of course, to the podcast here. A little bit in the middle, spoke with Bobby Tripp. Now we're speaking with you a little bit. Now, Roy was very excited for the 2021 season. Really looking forward to getting back to the track, like all of us are, obviously you included. But what do you see as your expectations for the year? Obviously you want to bring Roy a championship in the Pro Stock, but that's going to be a tall task, knowing what Dave Darling's been able to do over the last couple of years. I know you want to win more races, obviously, but what do you see as your major goal for the year? Do you have a certain amount of wins you want to get to? Is it the championship that you're eyeing? What are you trying to do for him? And I've heard most of the drivers in his stable say they want to give back to Roy by doing this. So fill in the blank. What do you want to do for him in 2021?
Being a race car driver definitely wins more than last year, if not the same. A championship would just be icing on the cake, and keep the car in one piece and try not to tear up too much stuff. It's just less work for my guys, myself, and get to have more fun that way. You're not spending long nights at the shop and stuff like that, and hopefully just keeping a smile on Roy's face.
Now, Roy was very adamant about the fact that he feels like with 3 pro stocks in the field, Ryan Kuhn on a part-time basis at least, but with Freddie, yourself, and Ryan Kuhn, he feels like he's got a 3-on-1 chance of beating Dave Darling. Is that kind of a goal in itself for you, knowing what Dave has been able to do the last couple of years? I know you beat him on that opening night to win your first race, which was probably a topping career moment. May have, I don't know, you tell me, but may have even been over the championship at that time in your career. But is that also a goal in itself to kind of try to outrun Dave and be the guy that knocks him off?
Yeah, that 52 team is always on point. Dave Darling's a driver that I've been looking up to since I was young in the trucks, and even with the late models, just going up to him, asking him questions about things on the track and things I shouldn't be doing. I mean, I've known Ronnie Pond for a while. He's a very smart guy, and Jeff, he's extremely good with setup and making the right changes, and they have the whole package, and they're definitely a team that if you beat them, you're doing something right that day. And it's kind of one of those things where you're just chasing them, but hopefully we can be a car that's consistently right there with them, and hopefully luck's on our side and we can get some wins.
Well, Dylan's going to try to be beating Dave Darling, but also going to support Everett's Auto Parts again and carry their colors for the 2021 season. Dylan, I'm sure we'll talk to you on the podcast at some point during the season, maybe after a few wins. If not, maybe a crazy moment or something, we'll talk to you. But appreciate the time, and we wish you luck in 2021.
Yeah, absolutely. I appreciate you having me, man. Thank you.
All right, that's been Dylan Estrella. When we come back, we're going to catch up to the rest of the interview with Roy. Spent a lot of time with him over at Everett's Auto Parts, and we're going to catch the end of that here, and then we'll wrap up and get on to the 2021 season. We'll be right back.
So, if I was to ask you if you had a favorite driver, would you be able to pick one driver, or is that like picking your favorite child?
Kyle, how many drivers did you say I had?
7 for 2021.
I have 7 favorites.
Good answer.
And there's so many cars, right? We've got over 130 some odd registrations for Saturday night, and a bunch of others who are part of our Fast Friday program too. Again, sitting here with Roy Andrade of Everett's Auto Parts. Let's talk 2021. We've had a whole year off now due to the pandemic as far as the Saturday night go. We had a couple Friday night races during the year. First of all, you must have missed the racing last year like the rest of us, because we talked about how it's your second home, right?
I did. I really miss going there every week and on the competitive side and enjoyment, because I go there every week to sit there. Not only do I go there to all the reasons I've mentioned, I also enjoy this immensely, and I go there and I sit and I watch everybody perform, and not just my cars, I watch everybody out there. I watch all divisions, and I watch other talented drivers and talented cars, and I watch Dave beat me every week, and I just get mad and buy another lemonade and say, I'm going to get you next week. But Dave's a nice guy, and he deserves to win. He has the best car out there, and he's a hell of a driver. Oh, and by the way, he drove for me too.
Wow, so a throwback. Now you're getting beat by Dave Darling.
And now I'm getting beat. Thank you, Dave.
Well, that's okay. Maybe he learned a few things from you over the years. Now, as we wrap up here, Roy, is there anything specific in 2021? Are there certain races that you're looking forward to? Because we've got the extra distance races as part of the Diamond Dash series. We've got some fan appreciation stuff that's hopefully going to be going on this year as well with the pandemic. But is there something that jumps out? Are you looking to win another Pro Stock Championship? Is a Street Stock and a Sportsman Championship in the cars this year? A truck? Is there something that kind of jumps out as a bucket list that you see coming up here?
Well, on paper, I should win all divisions.
Fair enough.
Now, the reality of all this is that that's not the way it works. So, there's so many things to win a race, as everybody knows. I'm looking forward. Oh, one thing I have to mention is I have Ryan Kuhn going to race at least 10 times for me at Seekonk this year,
So we're up
and
to
maybe
8
more.
8 drivers.
8 drivers. So I'm going to have 3 pro stocks. And by the way, I'm not trying to be a big guy to have 3 pro stocks. That's just the way it's working out. I had Freddie Estrella, and then on the way up, I had Estrella. But he was at a limit. He won the late model, and I told him that I would put him in a pro stock, and that's how he got there, because I didn't want to go back on my word, so I put him in there. Well, the same thing kind of happened with Ryan Kuhn. Now, he races for me
The Act Tour,
the Act Tour, the Pass Tour. So I support him all the way. He's a great kid. He's a hell of a driver. And now I have the opportunity to have him come back and race at Seekonk on more of a regular basis. And I'm really proud of that. And that's how I'm ended up with 3 pro stocks. I didn't plan to have 3 pro stocks, but that's the way it's going to be. But I'm also looking forward to having 3 pro stocks. I need 3 to Dave Dallon's 1. So maybe I'll win a race.
Now, does it get, Ed mentioned earlier talking about, was there a favorite? Does it get concerning with 3 cars out there at the same time? It's got to be nerve-wracking to know that there's 3 out there that are yours, and you hope it works out. They don't get together with each other. Something happens. I mean, is it nervous at all for you watching?
You know what's nervous about? Not smashing the car up, not having an accident. Fender benders, I'm talking. What's really nervous is I just want my drivers, as competitive as they are, I want my drivers to be respectful to each other. If one car is better than the other, I'm just hoping that they will race. I'm not looking for anybody to pull the little car ahead. I just want them to go out there and do the best they can. And maybe the car that's really performing excellent that night, maybe instead of holding them back for 10 laps, that they'll let them by.
Well, that comes down to the competitor, right? There's a couple of competitors. Freddie Estrella, I don't think I've ever seen him let anybody by
That's
without
true.
a fight. He's going to go down swinging.
That's true.
And you've got drivers in the trucks.
I'm so glad you said that, Kyle, because what I just said is forget it, because no one's letting anybody by.
That's going out the window.
That's what I want, but I know that's not going to happen.
That's going out the window.
It is out the window.
That went out quickly. Again, Roy's really looking forward to the 2021 season, as we all are. Come on down here to Everett's Auto Parts for any of your needs. A great facility. A lot of great people. We've been here 10, 15 minutes inside, met at least 8, 10 different people that were great. Ed was actually here, might have bought a part while he was here. I might take a look. You know, there's tires everywhere. There's parts everywhere. It's such a great facility. And again, a huge thanks to you for sponsoring the track. Without you, we would not be able to do what we do at the Speedway. And hopefully to get back running here in the middle of the pandemic and get on the other side of the pandemic. Without Roy, we wouldn't be able to do this.
We just want to thank you again for being a part of the Speedway, helping celebrate your 70th anniversary and our 75th anniversary this year.
Yeah, it should be a lot of fun. Roy, is there anything else as parting thoughts here as we wrap up?
Just looking forward to meeting all the fans, and just keep in mind that I do a lot of this stuff for you as well as trying to have some fun along the way.
Yeah, Roy Andrade, ladies and gentlemen, thank you again to Roy for not only joining us here in the podcast, but also supporting the track as we get ready for our 75th season. Stay tuned to our social media channels, our website, for some ticket information. That's going to be prime possession this year. Some tickets at a little bit of a reduced capacity to get going. So stay tuned for that and some more podcasts as we get ready for the 2021 season. Again, for Roy Andrade at St. Germain here with me as well, I'm Kyle Souza. Thanks for joining us on the latest edition of the Seekonk Speedway 75 Years History Podcast. And we'll talk to you soon.